Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Star Labs Confidential. Today, we're going to be continuing discussing all things Superman related, as we have actor Kevin Caliber with us, as he played the Man of Steel in both Supergirl Season 1 and the fan film Supermen World War. Thank you for joining the show, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love what you do, and I love to talk shop about Superman any chance I get.
Agreed. It's amazing how the character's still relevant after 85 years now.
And it will be even more relevant in 85 years from now, guarantee it.
So, what is it about Superman that you like so much?
Just being a kid. I mean, he was the prototype. He just was what you felt was a superhero. He didn't have the cool weapons or the gadgets. It was just him and his body, and he was able to create it all just from within, and that's what really made it special.
Same with me. That's why I liked how, like, between him and Batman, they're just so opposite in more ways than even with their arch nemesis.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's pretty much he was given this gift that it's up to him to utilize in the right way. Where like somebody like say Batman, it is so much of it is manufactured that he had to have all these outside resources help him. Where Superman was just born with it, and it's more about how he uses it. That's so great.
Agreed. So, what was your first exposure to Superman?
Well, I was born in the early 80s, so of course the old Superman movies. I think that the first one that I actually saw was Superman 3, ironically, and to me that was Superman. That was the movie that I saw, and then whenever we went to the video store, I saw the box for like Superman the movie, and it just threw me off thinking like, oh, there's more Superman, and I'm like, I need this. And they're like, no, you've seen Superman. I was like, I've not seen this. And it was funny to watch it with Christopher Reeve. You know, he was so young, and he's or younger than obviously part 3. So, and it was just such a big movie, and so just having that throughout my entire adolescence, and then there was that big gap outside of course, there was Lois and Clark in the 90s, but outside of that, there was a pretty big gap between proper Supermen on the big screen, because as much love as there is for the TV versions, I'm a movie guy through and through. So Christopher Reeve was my Superman for forever. Even still to this day, I love the work that Henry's done, but Christopher Reeve is my guy.
Oh yeah. I say for most people, like new or old, they always have like Christopher Reeve as like the gold standard when it comes to Superman.
Yeah, and deservedly so. I mean, he really did set the bar in the perfect way. Just his portrayal of it, and the way that he even, put on the extra weight to play the role and things like that. It goes a long way.
Agreed. So I guess you could say he was a bit of an influence in your life growing up.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny to look. I even have pictures of me, baby pictures of me wearing my little Superman shirt. And there's several pictures of these, and there's not a whole, it wasn't like today where everybody has cameras and all of our phones have cameras. We all have a bajillion pictures. And back then, pictures were, much more of a rarity, especially in my household. I was the middle of 5 kids, so there's not a lot of pictures of me as a kid, but there's this common theme of me wearing my little Superman shirt, and it could be, just like I remember there's one picture of me like I'm like I don't even have pants on, just wearing the shirt, and I think I was out of diapers then, so it's just like little tidy whities and a Superman shirt, and that's just what it was, and that was the lunchbox that I had. So yeah. Very
nice. I bet you. Do you wear like any Superman related stuff now among your family and stuff?
Every now and again. It's funny that I actually have a lot of Superman memorabilia, and I haven't bought any of it. It's something it's a common theme that that's what they give me as gifts, what they always tend to do. And even before I was, gifted to play the role of Superman, it was still something that people got me. I have an old Superman T-shirt that I've had for 15 years that I've just always had. So it's kind of funny, and people probably can't see this, but for anybody who's seeing it, you see what I'm holding on to. Anybody who is just listening along, I actually have my Superman cup that I sit here and I drink out of every day, and again, it was a gift. So it's a lot of Superman merchandise just everywhere that I look. It's all over my house. So it's if anybody needs to give me a gift, anything Superman, I love it.
Gotcha. Have you ever been to the Superman Festival in Metropolis?
I have. So this with this mug. I'm again, anybody who's not listening along, this is a Superman mug from Metropolis. I went to the Superman celebration, I want to say 5 years ago. It was a great opportunity. We actually screened our film Supermen World War there. I was there with the director, Donnie Callahan, and I was there with Charlie Sofer, who's the biggest Superman guy that I know. We used to, he's actually dubbed St. Louis Superman. That's my hometown of St. Louis. So he's the official St. Louis Superman, and I'm just the other Superman that happens to be from St. Louis. So yeah, the celebration there was great. My father drove up, and we got a picture underneath the big statue, and it was a great time. I highly recommend anybody who's a big fan. There's a Superman museum there. The people that run it are all fabulous. Just really super cool all around. Just a great time.
So have you before, I guess, any of the work you've done as a character, you ever auditioned to play Superman in any movies or TV shows?
So I actually played Superman one time before Supergirl. I was cast in it was kind of a comedy drama short film. And the guy's like, I just need somebody that really can play Superman. And it wasn't full suited up. We dubbed it the sneak peek. It was after Ben Affleck was announced that he was going to be playing Batman. So a Boston-based comic that I know, or that I met on this project and became good friends with, his name is Michael Wally. He came up with this funny concept of him playing Ben Affleck, and he needed a Superman. So we played opposite each other on that one. I booked the part on that, and that was the first time that I tried to be Superman. So it was the way that I talked, and then whenever it actually came time for Supergirl, it was the audition called for a Superman type. It didn't have any other details. There was just an address for the audition, and I went, and it was on the Warner Brothers studio lot. So whenever I went there, I even remember I'm standing on the street corner waiting to cross the street to walk onto the lot, and this gentleman just comes up right next to me, and he's wearing this tight blue shirt. He was bigger than I was. He was taller, and I just look at him. He had the perfect hair, and I was like, this guy looks just like Superman. And then we go across the street, we go in through security, and then security gives us, oh, you're going to, room 105. Oh, you're going to room 105. We walk together, not really together though. Like we're not there together. We're not friends. We realized that we're going up for the same part, and I still wasn't sure what it was. And we go in for the audition, and I went to use the bathroom. And in the bathroom, there was a sign in the bathroom that said something about the Supergirl. And I was like, Supergirl. And it all started to click. I was like, I think this is for Supergirl, but it still didn't say Superman. And so we go through one audition, and then there's a lot of people there for the bigger auditions. There's a lot of people there, and then it got smaller and smaller, and then it came time to it that I actually met Glenn Winters, who was directing the pilot, and he was the one that did Smallville, and so he had that Superman lineage. And he literally got down on the ground with a camera, and he's getting the sun behind me because it was the epic silhouette shot that we were gonna get. And he's got the sun. He's like, stick your hand out. And he's getting the sun just right. And then there was 3 of us that were in that final thing. And then he goes over to talk to the other producers. And then they came over to me and they said, can you go to a fitting right now? Absolutely I can. So I went straight to the Warner Brothers costume department and got fitted for the super suit. They actually built the suit for me. And that was, and I'm still not exactly sure. I was pretty sure that it was to be Superman, but everything's so secret. If you sign NDAs, everything, they use code words, code names. You don't know what you're doing. And then it wasn't until I saw on the sheet, the size sheet that they gave me, that at the top it had my name, and it said character, and it said Superman. And then that was like, it all started clicking that like I was going to be Superman throughout the first season.
Interesting. That's pretty good though. Though it's funny that I think I saw a behind the scenes shot where you just had a generic blue suit, like not even a symbol on you or anything.
Yeah, they specifically held back on the shield. There was a reason for that. It was a legal reason because, again, marketing and what they have ability to use on screen is really interesting. So even though it was they never said Superman. I was Kal-El. I was, her cousin. I was, because I'm sure it's so much in licensing just to have the S, to have the name. So they never really said it. So even on IMDb, I was credited as Kal-El. So they would say it on like the call sheet. Whenever I went to my trailer, it said Superman, but none of that's on camera. So there was, none of that. And so it was interesting, but it was definitely, it was built for me. I think I went to 3 different fittings for it. And because I was getting fitted to play Superman, I got in incredible shape. I've always been a big fitness guy, and I got in the best shape, and I'm trying to be built like Superman. And I took a little bit of weight off my midsection and to be nice and fit and trim. So I go in for the final fitting. And they're like, it's kind of loose around here. And they actually had to snug it in a little bit more because I actually changed my body in those whatever it was. I think it was three weeks from the start to actually being on set.
Interesting. But I feel like they both have like the same kind of symbols, so it's like, how could there be like a licensee issue if it's 2 characters with the same symbol?
Right? Yeah. I mean that Superman in the licensing is like that's like gold. I guess that's one of their big money makers. But you're right. It seems like it's the same symbol, which essentially I don't know what the real difference is. So maybe there was some sort of specific in it that they did. And it was funny because obviously Superman became a part of the show in a much greater capacity by season 2. And that was after it already moved to CW. So it was originally on CBS, and it was filmed in LA. We did everything in Malibu and in Acton and in Burbank, and that's where we did all of our filming at. And then for season 2, the entire show actually moved to Canada, because almost all CW shows are filmed in Vancouver, Canada. So whenever it moved up there, I mean, who knows, for whatever reason, I guess, they had that ace in the hole that they were waiting to play. They knew that they could play Superman. They were trying to do everything that they could to establish Supergirl as obviously the star of the show. They didn't really want to steal her thunder. So I think they did a really good job of establishing her as a very good character. And then you could bring in Superman. Then obviously they were able to put him right into, all the shows that Superman has been in since, from that iteration.
It's quite funny. And you were only Superman just for that one shot? Because I think there was like another Superman appearance season 1, like briefly, I think, like fighting against some bad guy. Like, was that you too, or was that someone else?
I think that one might have been someone else. There was scheduling conflict a little bit, but we filmed a lot. Like, we filmed quite a bit. I was on several locations. We did, Glenn really wanted to really shoot a lot of Superman. So we weren't sure what it was going to do. Obviously the epic silhouette was the one that, it was in the opening credits. It was the one that really solidified. But even whenever you see the hands going in and opening up the thing to help her out, I was holding her hand whenever I gave her to her foster parents, which was, of course, played by Dean Cain and Helen Slater. I was there that day. I literally sat in a makeup chair in between the two of them, and that was, one of those geek out moments where I look and I got a Supergirl next to me and a Superman next to me, and I'm sitting in between them. And so we filmed quite a bit. So I'm not sure where they were going to use things, because sometimes they reuse footage in different ways, things that they shot. So everything was glimpses. And yeah, you're right. There was the shot of the low angle shot of from like the sidle, kind of, below and you see the cape. And I don't think that was me, but we shot so much. I'm not even for sure. So that might have been another double though.
So, I guess, like, when it came to the fan films Supermen World War, like, what drew you to become a part of this feature?
Well, I had met the director. I met Don Callahan. We did another project together that he was the DP on. So he was shooting us on one, and then I just told him, I said, hey, if you're ever out in LA, hit me up. I did that in my hometown of St. Louis. I think we were right across the bridge in Illinois. And So I met him and we got along well, and I told him if he ever came out to LA, hit me up, and he ended up coming out for a couple days, and we hung out, and his dad was there, and then it was right after that they approached it and go, hey, Donnie's been thinking about making his first feature film, and his dad was going to help him make it. He executive produced it. His dad did a lot of work for it, and then they came to me like, hey, we got this idea of doing a Superman role. And I found the idea very intriguing. Of course, it's really hard to do that type of work on a lower budget without, of course, all the necessities that you need. But I said, hey, if your vision's good, so they did some test footage of some of the other stuff. So I kind of had an idea of what it was going to look like. They broke down the storyline of with it being World War II based. So, they told me it was going to be, fight Hitler and the Nazis and all that. And you talk about your bad guys, of course, they had their own version of Superman with Metallo, but it was, all right, well, if anybody's going to have a good bad guy, I guess Hitler's about as bad a guy as you could have for a villain. So I read it, and there's pieces of it that are a little fluff. It's a little, little campy in its own way, but then it really gets really raw in its own ways. I mean, we had some good raw storylines in there, very, not adult, but, we very much pushed it, and the entire cast and crew just everybody was so passionate about it, because working in LA, a lot of the filmmakers they see it as a job. It's just 9 to 5. The passion is there, or it was once there. Now it's kind of become a mundane day job, which I've been there too. I go to work on set sometimes. I don't necessarily want to be there. It's a paycheck, but back in St. Louis, it was the passion was just so there. So we brought in some people that were cosplayers, some people that were just, things like that to try and liven it up. And we had a blast doing it. It was a great experience. We filmed several times over. So I was flying back to St. Louis. I'd shoot for a week, and then I'd leave, and then I'd come back. We'd do a little bit more. And it ended up being a great opportunity. Every time I went back, I'd meet more people that I'm still friends with to this day. And we're actually still making it. We're still making some of the projects we did. We're making kind of a series out of it. So we did one episode of the episodic that was leading up to more. We've shot more already. We're gonna go shoot more this summer. So it's given us something it's something that's fun. Anytime I can go back and work with the Super family and just continue to do it. And it's been a great opportunity. And anytime that I could put the suit on, it's just, I'll welcome that forever. And I say that now, but I've really enjoyed my time in the suit, and it's just great to work with passionate people that we could just go and have fun. I mean, I'm literally putting on a Superman suit and playing the role. And what was cool about that one is that I got to play Clark Kent as well. So I got to kind of bust out the acting chops, and whether it's my natural speaking voice is a little higher, but for some reason whenever I put on Superman, I don't go full Batman, but for some reason my voice drops a little bit because I'm a little more authoritative. And then I go to Clark, and then my voice goes up a little bit. And so it is kind of funny, because it is a challenge as an actor to play two roles within the same one. So it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to just keep on making them.
So I guess it felt pretty good just to wear that suit when you're on set and everything.
Oh, there's something about it. The very first time that I officially suited up all the way, because I flew in, we did costuming through the mail. They would send it to me. I would try it on. I would mark on the sleeves where, I'm basically tailoring my own. I'm not doing the sewing, but I would mark where it actually needs to end and this, and, pull it in a little bit here. And we'd take pictures and we'd send it in, and then they would alter the suit. And then I showed up in St. Louis. And Jeff Callahan, the director's father, the producer, he picks me up from the airport, took me straight to set, but I was Clark Kent that day. And I remember first day I put on this really cool old vintage suit, and we're standing out there, and people just go walking by, and they don't even know what we're doing there. We're just standing. There's no cameras or anything. And someone walks by and they go, "Oh, look, it's Clark Kent." And I'm like, hey, I guess I look like Clark Kent, mission accomplished. And then it wasn't until I think day 3 that I actually put on the super suit. And I went into the dressing room, and I suited up, and I came out for the first time. This is the first time that the crew, the director, anybody had seen me in the full suit. Because even whenever I was taking pictures of myself, the S wasn't on it, the cape wasn't on it. It was just about the suit itself. Then you add the other stuff later. So it was the first time that I had officially done, and just walking onto set. And there was like this moment where it was like, if there would have been a record playing, like the record scratch would have happened. Like everybody, like, you know, there's like this moment, and then I just walked right over to the director, and it's just like, it took him a moment to like settle in what he was doing. He was directing a Superman movie, and now Superman is here. So, and it's funny because it was literally day 3 of filming. So, you know, until that point, I was Clark Kent, and all of a sudden, Superman. So, yeah, don't ever lose that feeling. And every time it goes on, a lot of it isn't glamorous. We were filming in an old factory downtown St. Louis, and so we're in this old factory, and I'm in this old dusty room. There's not even functioning water or anything. There's no mirror. So I go and I put on the suit, and I come out, I'm like, is my cape straight? And still everybody's like, oh, Superman.
Yeah, because I'm glad they went with the Fleischer costume, because like watching it, even with how they did the opening, it feels like, you know, this is basically what they would have done if the producers of the show, if they wanted to make a movie out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a cool decision by the filmmakers. I really like that they did that too. And it's kind of funny that since then it's become used more, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's true, because I'm sure you've probably seen the show Superman Lois, but they have him wearing the Fleischer suits a couple times.
Yep. And that was the joke, because we were like, we did it first. Tyler's always following in my footsteps.
Yeah. I'll admit, he is a good Superman. I guess I just feel like it's hard to believe sometimes, because I don't know what's his height, but it looks kind of short. No offense to him. It's just weird seeing a Superman that's shorter than Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, that'll always sit a little funny. And but yeah, I'm not sure how tall he is, because yeah, he's obviously in great shape. He was a baseball player forever. He still plays baseball in movies, and he's one of the better baseball movie actors. And you know, he's certainly got a good charisma to him. You know, seems like a very nice guy. I've never met him, but from what everybody says, he's a good guy. And he's got a good presence to him. Of course, he's a great looking guy, and it's not necessarily the traditional type of Superman look. People joke around with me, they're like, but you look more like, I'm like, yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's all right. Maybe they did want to go in a slightly different direction, because Dean Cain wasn't that tall either, and Dean Cain had almost like a thicker type build to him, and Tyler's definitely got like the longer, taller, leaner type of build. So I was just trying to be, more of the all-American, muscly Superman. Like, I don't need those pads in there. This is all me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask for the movie. I'm guessing they didn't put much padding for your costume, given with your work ethic.
Zero padding. It was almost a joke by a director. He's like, how much weight did you put on? I go, put on, bro. I lost weight for this. I was like, I'm sucked in there so much that if I had any kind of belly whatsoever, it would show. So yeah, I did try to go a little bit thicker across the chest and shoulders. I really tried to widen out, because with that suit, with it being tailored down, and it's cool because the S does give you that natural V type look, because you want to be, bigger across the shoulders, smaller across the waist, and the S definitely frames it really well. So I was ready I was bodybuilder ready for that role. And every time it does give me an excuse to stay in shape. It's like, anytime I gotta throw on that suit, I gotta stay in shape. I don't want to be looking like some of these guys do whenever they whenever they put in it. Because once you start getting into the manufactured pads, like I did enjoy Ben Affleck as Batman, but yeah, whenever they put it in, he looked pretty thick whenever he had that suit on, even in the black. Black maybe slimming, but he looked pretty thick in that.
So, as far as in the World War, what was your favorite part or favorite scene they got to be a part of in the movie?
In World War, the one that I really enjoyed doing was it's such a weird thing. Fight scenes are so hard and so complicated, but I got to do a fight scene as Clark whenever it's revealed that he is Superman. That's whenever the glasses come off, and we really rehearsed it a lot, and we ended up having to film it almost like in two sections because it was so involved. But I got to have a big Superman punch. I got to, you see Superman getting the strength as he goes. And with it, it wasn't an origin story, but it was him finding his powers as he goes. Like, I don't know if it was portrayed appropriately, but even whenever he like takes off and flies the first time, you're like, oh, can he do it? Because he wasn't sure of his own powers. So the fight scene just was so much fun to do, and all the guys that I was working with, we had four or five different guys, and it was just so, like I said, so involved that it was just so much fun. And then some of the other, of course, there was funny banter with kind of the pseudo Jimmy Olsen character. We had him named Private Downey Callahan, named after the director, which was super cute. So the three of them together was really funny because we had a really tough Lois. She was she was kind of the heartbeat of our thing, and she was really tough, so she would kind of like talk down to Clark in a little bit. They decided to play it like that. So to see him like, oh, I don't know, Lois, as he's backing down from her. But so there was a lot of really good moments in that for sure.
Yeah. You give a pretty good perspective of like his powers. Like, I'm glad that for this movie it wasn't an origin story, but it's like, he's been around, but his powers keep evolving, because at that time they didn't think about doing flying, just leaping over tall bounds. But as he keeps going on, his powers evolve to where he can fly and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. There wasn't, in an early draft of the script, there was going to be that he was leaping, and then eventually that leads to him actually being able to stay aerial. And you wanted, we were trying to figure out a way of actually showing that. And if the runtime would have been a little bit longer, if we would have had one of those 3-4 hour runtimes like Justice League had, then maybe we would have been able to show all that. But with given our runtime, we didn't quite get to it. But you do see him the first, as it starts to go, you see just that it overtakes him and that he can take off. And so it was a fun perspective.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys went with Metallo, because I feel like for Dawn of Justice, they could have picked him as like the final bad guy instead of Doomsday.
I agree. Yeah, it is a really solid character. That's always fun.
Yeah, because there was a perfect setup. Like, I forgot the name of the guy, but the guy that was in a wheelchair that blamed Superman for like what happened to him in Man of Steel, he could have been Metallo and everything.
Very true. Yeah. I like the way that you're thinking about that, because Metallo being who he was, it could have very well been.
Yeah, because I like this graphic novel / anime movie called Public Enemies, where Superman and Batman both fight Metallo, but then Superman gets shot. He gets saved, but I figure some aspect of that could have been used for Dawn of Justice. Just maybe instead of Superman being dead, like maybe he's just in some kind of comatose state because of like an overdose of kryptonite radiation or something.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's great. I think that where you're getting at is what's funny is because like so many super fans out there are like, but this and then we could have been that. And I'm sure that the studio heads and the writers and everybody that goes into it have their reasons, but it is fun with that's one of the beautiful things about like fan films, fan fiction, is that we can all have our own little opinion on how we could go about it, what we would have done differently, because it is a lot of fun, because there used to be no fan films. You never got anything like that. And now if you're a Superman fan, if you're a Batman or a Star Wars fan, there are some really great fan films out there that do tell these stories in another way. It's like, oh, another universe. That there it is. And it's funny that we could each have our own little universe. And that's one of the reasons why we're continuing with the Supermen universe, is that we're trying to, go in a slightly different direction than what we've seen before, because it's all in good fun. It's all storytelling in our own way. And, like we could all be our own little Superman if we want to.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of like that this is like, pretty much guess your own version of Superman and Batman if they exist around 1940s, which is ironically when they started out in the comics.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we did it. That's why we picked the World War II being the setting of it, and then with that for the series that we're doing, it's called Memoirs Under the Yellow Sun, and it's we did episode 1 so far. Then you're introduced to a very young Lex Luthor as a child, and then we will be these different things to build up to present day without going into too much detail, but we're gonna have fun with evolving as it goes, as maybe as technology gets better, we could introduce that into it as well, because of course there's times where if Superman was always around, there would be downtime where it wasn't that cool, or the feeling of not needing him anymore or something, and then maybe goes into obscurity for a while and then has to come back, because if he's always there saving it, what's the point? People get a little easy whenever they think that no matter what happens, Superman will just show up. So it's nice to get it in those little bits and doses that we could have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, if Batman Beyond shows anything, it's pretty much if the hero gives up or dies or anything, then it's like he never showed up in the first place.
Yep, that's exactly it.
But so, I guess with James Gunn's new DCU going, you think he might be able to think about auditioning for Superman and any other characters that James Gunn's trying to bring to the screen?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I've auditioned for a couple projects, not necessarily in the DC universe, but I have had the opportunity to audition for some in the Marvel world. And again, they use so many codes that we're not even sure what we're auditioning for. Some of the times you're just looking at the dialogue, you're like, is this something else? So yeah, I would absolutely love to. I love James Gunn's work. I mean, even dating back to his indie work, like if anybody of the dark superhero stuff, the movie Super that he made with Rainn Wilson as the superhero was just so much fun. And I like what he did, even with I know he didn't direct it, but even with Brightburn, it's like, what do you do if Superman was bad, or an adolescent teen that was using his powers the wrong way? And I just love his creativity and what he's done, and of course with Guardians, and doing the last Suicide Squad movie. There's a reason why they gave him the keys to the DCU. I mean, there's a very good reason. He's a very, very gifted, talented, visionary artist, and I would absolutely love to be in a part of that. I worked one day with him. I was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 for a blink and you miss it moment. I was one of the Sovereign. But just being on set, I mean, I was there, on set with everybody. It was like I got to sit there with Star-Lord, and it was like Star-Lord and Gamora had their big scene was literally on the stage right next to us, and it's just being a part of that and just seeing the way that it is. And again, I've been on other sets that aren't as fun. It feels like work, and the energy that James Gunn brings to set and just the vibe, you could tell it's going to be fun. You could tell it may not be the best movie, whether it's for storyline purposes, but it's gonna look cool. The actors are gonna be into it. It's gonna be visually stimulating, and it's gonna be a cool concept like you've never quite seen before. And that's what I think whenever they gave him Guardians, he's a young filmmaker, and they give him Guardians, and it's like, it's not the prize thing. They're not giving him Batman, or they're not giving him, the keys to one of the big franchises, but by giving him Guardians, and then seeing that Guardians may be one of the most beloved ones from a fan standpoint. And it's just the way that he did it and put it all together. I'm just such a fan. I love his work, and I would love to be a part of one of the DC things. I know they're going to go, they're going younger with Superman going forward, but if there's ever an opportunity to do it, you bet your ass I will do everything in my power to be a part of it, and be a part of history.
Yeah, well, only time can tell, since we only got like at least 2 years before Superman Legacy will be coming out.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't know if you saw, it was kind of a joke that our movie was titled that we announced last year. We're gonna do a follow up to World War, and it was gonna be called Supermen Legacy. So we're bouncing around title changes now because I don't want it to be confusing. So we're bouncing around. So if anybody has any suggestions, hit us up. Let us know. Supermen World War on Instagram, on Facebook. Supermen. Like I said, Donnie Callahan's the director. I'm decently accessible. You're able to contact me on Instagram. Decently accessible. My inbox does get full, but I try to check it as much as I can. So if anybody out there has any really cool recommendations for a cool name, we need one now that Legacy has been taken away from us. Again, we did it first.
Well, I mean, you could go with Legacies.
Right, yeah, we're trying to think about fun ones. We have a list that we're going off of that we're trying to see which one fits the storyline best. But a Legacy, it's such a good name. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a good name.
Yeah. Well, I would say that's our time for today. Thank you again for being a part of this podcast, Kevin.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Anybody wants to check out Supermen World War, you can find it on YouTube. Memoirs Under the Yellow Sun. It's all under the same YouTube channel. So give that a follow along. We're going to keep on making them. So we do it for you guys. We're fans first. Do it for the fans, made from fans. So please join us on our journey. And hopefully I will see you in Metropolis one of these days.
You got it. And stay tuned for my YouTube channel for more Superman-related podcasts coming out this year. Thanks for tuning in on Superman Day, everybody. The full version of this podcast will be uploaded by the end of this month. If you want to see the full movie, be sure to click on the thumbnail here and give a follow to director Don Callahan's channel as he's about to make more works with Memoirs Under the Yellow Sun. Also, if you have Amazon Prime, check out Kevin Caliber's latest film, The Craving, and follow the Indiegogo link below to donate on his next upcoming film, A Hard Place. As always, like and subscribe for more content. This is BD Knight, signing out.